We frequently give out the advice to be vigilant and be skeptical when assessing an inbound email to decide whether or not it's genuine or whether it's malicious and fake. So hopefully this short video will give you a few clues as to the things you can be looking for. So we'll start with our first example here, which is a mail from Barclays with regards to a debit card. First place I look is up at the top. We have a look at the sending email address. Now this email address is not a Barclays email address, so already we've got grounds to be suspicious. Looking in the body of the mail, there's no salutation greeting me by name, and credit card companies and banks and insurance companies will always greet you using the personal details they have on record. It's one of the ways we can help decide whether something's genuine. In fact, there's no effort on the part of the creator of this email to make it look like a Barclays email at all. We've got no logos, we've got no contact details. All we have is this attachment. They're trying to trick me into opening up the attachment. That's the point at which I'm going to find myself in a spot of bother. This email can be deleted. In our next example, we've got an email purporting to come from Apple, and again we start by looking at the sender's email address, and a quick search online will tell us that's not an Apple email address at all. Next we have a look at that salutation again, no personalization details that Apple will have. And in fact, all that we have here is they're trying to get us to update our contact details using this link. Now as I hover over the link without clicking on it, I get a little pop-up on my screen that you won't see on the video showing the address to which that link resolves. You can see it in the bottom left-hand screen of your video, as it also appears at the bottom of Outlook, so you should see that appearing now. And we can see that link is not an apple.com link at all. At that point in time, we know this email isn't genuine. What's probably going to happen here is if we clicked on this, we'd be taken to a fairly convincing looking logon site, at which point you're going to part with your logon details and your password, and quite possibly your credit card information as well. Obviously the credit card information can be used maliciously, but also your username and password, if they match up with details you've used on other websites, open up a whole host of opportunities for you to be exploited. This mail should be deleted. This sort of email, we often see these coming around Christmas time when there are lots of deliveries going on and people may have 2 or 3 parcels and they're not sure which one's which. So again, when we look at this email, it purports to be from DPD, but there's no tracking order number, there's no indication of where I've ordered from, which might appear on an email like this, and it's suitably vague so that I'm being, if you like, tricked into clicking on this link. So again, hovering over this link, I can see where that resolves. You can see that in the bottom left hand of your screen as well there, and it's not a DPD website. If I was waiting on a package and I'm wondering whether this is related to it, what I would do is go back to my original email or my original purchase information and approach and contact the companies using the valid contact information I have from the original transaction. Do not rely on an email that's come out of the blue. That should be deleted. This example I've included quite simply because it shows how again we're trying to be frightened into responding. So I have a subject of court subpoena, which would naturally catch one's attention, but we have an email address which is certainly not a UK based address, and again the only thing I have in this, because it's a fairly nondescript couple of lines of text, I have a link. When I hover over this link, you'll see it in the bottom left, I'm being taken to a completely different web address compared with that of the email, and I can also see that this is going to download a zip file. Now zip files can be quite dangerous because you have to open the zip file, and in doing so you can click on the sort of yes finish type exercise and actually instruct it to run something malicious as well as just opening a file. This mail is clearly not genuine. It really shouldn't fool anyone. And just as a final point of note, we've got multiple recipients in the to field. It's clearly not going to be something that would happen for a court subpoena, and what we can actually see is these are all people who've registered emails using Adobe Trial at domain name, and this is a list of addresses that were probably harvested in a data breach that Adobe had a few years ago. This mail shouldn't catch anyone out, but it's there as a good example of what to look for. Finally, we have this example from UKPC or UK Parking Control, and I've included this because on this occasion the mail actually has gone to a lot of effort to look quite genuine. We've got logos, we've got various bits of contact details and accreditation, but what we have is a request to pay a parking fine effectively. But there are no great details. The only thing we can do with this email to find the proof of our parking offence is to click on this link here where it says all photos and payment options. Again, on my screen, I'm now seeing a pop-up of where that will resolve. You will see that in the bottom left, and what we can see is that it is not a UK Parking Control website that we're going to be taken to, and that is enough of an indication for us to realise this email can't possibly be genuine. But aside from that, we can also apply a little bit of logic here. For almost all of us, there will be no direct link between our vehicle registration number and our vehicle, whether it's a work or a private car, and our own email address. I realise in some circumstances where there's a fleet management and company cars involved, there might just be a crossover, but even then, that sort of email would probably go to the fleet manager. It wouldn't come to the individual, and we just know by thinking it through that this email can't possibly be genuine. Another one of these variant of this type that I see go around once in a while will be for a speeding offence, but it's the same kind of idea, and they're trying to scare you into clicking on it, and it's the point at which you click on that link that you're going to start to get yourself into trouble. So using a little bit of skepticism, being vigilant, applying a little bit of logic, we should be able to dodge every single one of those traps and carry on safely looking after our private detail and indeed our office network. If you've got any queries relating to any of these, or indeed you've got an example of an email you think it would be good for us to publicise to other users, please get in touch using the contact details on our website.